Igbo people are widely regarded as the most traveled ethnicity in Africa, based on their extensive global diaspora and history of migration driven by trade, education, and entrepreneurship. Originating primarily from southeastern Nigeria, the Igbo have a population of around 30 to 40 million in Africa, with millions more abroad, particularly in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and other parts of Europe and Asia. This mobility stems from their cultural emphasis on commerce, adaptability, leading to strong communities worldwide that maintain ties to their homeland through remittances and cultural events. Through cultural analysis and migration reports, the Igbos are believed to have a presence almost everywhere in the globe, outpacing other groups in modern international travel and settlement. But how is this itinerant lifestyle affecting the homeland of Southeast Nigeria? Are the Igbo in diaspora a source of inspiration and sustainable development? This is the Eastern Eye. I'm Alex Obodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me tonight is James Ungu Eze. He's a journalist, poet, and CEO of Odala Tree Concept. He joins me tonight, but it's afternoon over there. He joins me from New York City, USA. Thank you so much, James Ungu Eze, for joining me tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you, Alex. I hope you're having a good time there, regardless.
Absolutely.
The homeland is always amazing.
Yes, so I guess that the question is, how are you enjoying your summer out there?
Oh, well, I think summer ended,
Yes.
about a little over a week ago.
Yes.
We are now in fall. The fall season is the season before winter, and also a very remarkable season that, in the sense that this is a time when trees shed leaves, and you see trees, shedding their leaves. As I would say in one of my poems, you see trees undressing to welcome the winter.
Yes. So I didn't make a mistake by saying you were a poet. Yes, you are. Yes. So, and I've seen quite a number of videos already you've posted on your socials. So talk to us about how you get introduced to Igbos in diaspora. You've been to Boston still. You've moved around a bit in this your stay in the U.S. So when you step into the U.S., how do you know that you have a robust Igbo community in the USA?
Well, thank you so much. I have moved quite a bit since my arrival. Arriving in Boston and traveling from New York to Maryland, and then Philadelphia, and even Washington, D.C. It's been quite exciting. I arrived at the time when, the summer was sort of wrapping up, and the summer period is a period of intense activity. And I was able to attend the World Igbo Congress. This year's edition of the World Igbo Congress took place in Boston, in Marriott's Hotel, somewhere in Boston. And I went there in the company of my dear friend and host, Godwin Nnanna. Godwin Nnanna is from Abia State. He's from Arochukwus. And he's a leader of the community here. In fact, he is an SY leader of the Nigerian diaspora community in the New England area. That means, Massachusetts and the surrounding areas. So, and he's also a prominent player in the Igbo community in Boston, and in the Abia community also in Boston. So I was happy, or rather I was lucky, to have come under the guidance of an Igbo leader. So we went to the World Igbo Congress, where Igbo people from all over America had gathered over a period of time, to celebrate our unique cultural heritage and to, interact as is in the customs of our people, because Chino Achebe said that the moon shines in every compound. But the reason why kinsmen leave their homes, their compounds to meet at the village square is because it is good for relatives, for kinsmen to come together sometimes. So Igbo people met, had their deliberations, had their cultural display, had their annual dinner, and it was so wonderful. Alex, you'll be surprised to find out that the typical pride of an Igbo man is even more pronounced in the diaspora than in Nigeria. People here I think that our people, when they travel outside of the shores of Nigeria and outside of the culture at home, they become more fiercely aware of their identity. And that begins to reflect in the way they carry themselves, in the way that they dress, in the way that they reach out to one another, in the sense of community here, and the sense of kinship that they share very deeply. I regret to say that the sort of unity that the Igbo communities have, especially in America and in other diasporan communities, because we see them also come together in Ireland, in the UK, in Germany. You remember that Ike Kuramadu had attended the Iriji festival in Germany. When that ugly incident involving him and some, agitators happened. But that shows you that the flame is ablaze, actually, in the diaspora more than at home. In fact, people at home will be playing catch up, because I've seen. The other day I was in Philadelphia, in the King of Prussia, where my dear friend, a retired general from the United States Army, my dear brother and friend Henry Okorafor, and his beautiful wife Chinna hosted me. I got there to realize that, in fact, throughout the period of my stay in my friend's house in the King of Prussia, his wife spoke flawless Igbo in the Owerri dialect to me, and I was ashamed because I was struggling to actually speak Igbo. When I found out her proficiency in the spoken Igbo, I began to struggle with mine. Almost, you might say, I got a little bit intimidated because I had never seen. I was shocked, to see someone who could speak Igbo with that pride, that level of pride and confidence in America, even though she was born in the U.S. I didn't get to see, their children, but I'm sure that their children wouldn't be any different, because the children had all gone back to school by the time I visited. So you see, what I am trying to say is, if we don't watch how we carry ourselves at home, the strength of Igbo culture in no distant time will actually move overseas, because some people are consciously projecting the culture. I remember seeing Ajofia masquerade in one of the celebrations. I didn't see it in person, but I saw a video clip, of Ajofia masquerade partaking in one of the diasporan events. You get to see so many other Igbo masquerades. I'm talking about, thematic masquerades, because there are thematic masquerades, like if you have Ijele, you have Ajofia, you have Mbedike, you have quite a number of them that are very iconic. They have started moving overseas. So don't be surprised when in no distant future, you begin to have very strong Igbo museums set up by our people in diaspora to preserve the culture and, to promote it as well, because that is the essence of, deglobalizing, the concept of the globalizing village that we have. It means that cultures can migrate and take roots in distant locations and begin to flourish. I was relatively informed by one of my friends that in somewhere in Dallas, Onugbu, the Onugbu plant, has started flourishing there, that they started planting it and growing it and selling it in commercial quantities, and that, that some Americans and people from other cultures in the US have come to actually discover the nutritional values of onugbu. So some of our people at land are already planting that in commercial quantities somewhere in Dallas. That is how culture migrates. And that's how, diasporan culture can also influence trends at home. I'm told, although I have not done any research, but I'm told that the onugbu that we take for granted at home has very impressive nutritional values, high medicinal values. In fact, my surprise here visiting this place is that I came to America to actually value what I have always had. Like some of our foods, and some of the things that we eat. My friend here in New York cooked okpa a couple of days ago. And when I ate that okpa, I found out that it had a very highly cleansing effect on my stomach. For the first time since my arrival, I was able to actually have my bowels open, because okpa, to my mind, it was here that I was discovering that it has that effect. It's a natural laxative, so to speak. You take it, and then it helps open your bowels, and then you can actually do the do nicely. After which your stomach will return to factory setting. These are some of the things that we have that we don't value so much back at home. So it's been impressive, and I am learning to unlearn, because I can't tell you that even me that when you see me back at home, I don't think I take such extreme pride in the Igbo culture as I naturally should.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about bitter leaf. Vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, B1, B2, B3. There's a lot there, but we just have to stop there, just in order to bore people with Onugbu at this time. So let's talk about what the Igbo diaspora is doing in the homeland. Because when we look at development efforts here in the homeland, I'm sure you belong to one or two WhatsApp groups where funds have been raised. And you know that the donations from the diaspora are always thunderous. They are earth-shaking when they come. Is it possible that there is a silent revolution going on, that the diaspora, they are behind that revolution without even knowing it?
Yeah, actually, Alex, the studies have actually revealed that, diasporan communities from different parts of the world have always played a somewhat catalytic role in the development of their home countries. Nigeria is no exception. In fact, records indicate that diasporan remittances to Nigeria, the Philippines, and Honduras far surpass aid to these countries. The aid received from foreign governments, from foreign, donor agencies, do not compare to diasporan remittances. That's it, remittances from individual Nigerians or Nigerian Americans or Nigerian Brits or Nigerians living in diverse communities and countries in Asia, in Africa, in America, in Europe. For instance, in 2023, it is on record that a total of 19.5 billion US dollars, was remitted by Nigerians in the diaspora to the home country. The figure went up in 2024 to $20.9 billion in 2024 to Nigeria. Meanwhile, the total of remittances by donor agencies and all various governments to Nigeria from 2015 to 2020, it came to the neighborhood of 26 billion US dollars. So when you look at how much you have received, per year for this period of time, 2019, 2023 and 2024, you could see how much money that individual Nigerians sent back home. And then you look at a period of 6 years from 2015 to 2020, what we got in terms of aid was far less. That tells you of the impact of the diasporan communities, to the home countries. I need not even begin to talk about what the diasporan Jew or the world Jewry does for the state of Israel in terms of the repatriation of funds, in terms of the repatriation of expertise, and all kinds of specialized knowledge, to build the homeland. So diasporan communities have always been very, very strong, very powerful. Now, with regards to the Igbo community, I really wonder what we can do individually and collectively without our brothers and sisters in diaspora. You were talking about the donations people make on WhatsApp platforms, but I can easily tell you that I have friends here in America who have been successfully trained so many people in Nigeria, who took care of the education of so many people. My friend in Philadelphia, the major that I spoke about, Henry Okorafor, was just telling me the other time that he had 4 people that he had seen through school, who were looking for a job. And so if I had any contacts, could I be useful? Could I help in one way or the other? These are 4 Nigerians he has put through, the ones that do not have jobs at the moment. There are others, obviously, who evidently might have things that they are doing now, and so are no more under his care, so to speak. Okay, I have quite a number of people who are doing a similar things. A number of friends, different places. When they send you this $100, they send you $200, which some of us actually look down on. Alex, I found out upon getting to America, although this is not my first time, I've always known that the dollar is even stronger in America than in Nigeria. It has more value in America than in Nigeria. We look down on $100 in Nigeria. I mean, if you probably give somebody $50 in Nigeria, they will look at you like, what the hell? But that's a lot of money here. So when they send you $100, they're actually sending you a lot of money, even within their own economy. So, and those things go a long way in solving problems. Need we even start to talk about the houses they build? Some of them may not have houses overseas, but they have mansions at home. Some have set up companies, some have set up businesses that they look forward to coming back to run. And the situation is often that the case that they end up not coming back to run those businesses. So their relatives take over the businesses and run them for their own sustenance. the diasporan communities have contributed in Igbo land in so many ways. Do you know that I remember when I worked in Anambra State, in the government of Anambra State, the Anambra diasporan community is so strong that they actually play a major role in the decision of who becomes the governor of Anambra State. They come, they come in heavy. They have a very strong influence on their people at home. You understand what I'm saying? So they almost I wouldn't say they decide who becomes the governor, but they play a very serious role in doing that. So it is not just the influence of the diasporan community is not merely economic and developmental in that sense. It also has taken a different turn, and they play a lot of they play a very prominent role in the political decisions our people make. And it is only to be expected, because he who pays the piper dictates the tune. If I am a resident in the US and I am very prominent in the development efforts of my community, donating funds, helping indigent people, creating opportunities for people to flourish, and then empowering people, who do not have much to do with their lives without help necessarily. Ultimately, I would be able to determine, at least to some extent, the decisions they make politically. So these things, the influence is almost overwhelming. The diasporan communities also, because they are highly regarded in some communities where they are seen as light bearers, having been exposed to more advanced cultures and a higher civilization, they play other roles, like they are also agents for peace and communal harmony or community harmony. They command a great deal of respect because of the economic power that they control. And let us not also forget that some of them in the diaspora have been able to add value to their lives, building themselves through different programs, whether academic and professional, to get to the level that they are. So there is no reason why they should not be respected by the communities back home, So their role is overwhelming. In the same Anambra, I have seen people who lived in America, who came home and took traditional titles. The late Igwe of Pito Doche's home community, Igwe Roland Odebu, was my very good friend. He was living in America for years, but he came back when his people found him worthy to provide leadership for the community and accepted the role. So their place in the evolution of the modern Igbo society is clearly defined and invaluable, both in terms of contribution to peace, in terms of providing the momentum for development, allowing planting developmental ideas in their various hometowns and communities, and funding development projects. Some of them have sunk water boreholes in their communities. Some have built markets, some have built schools, some have built hospitals. I know of a certain medical doctor from Adazi in Anambra State, Mwilo, is building an ultra-modern hospital. And then, of course, you go to Umuchukwu in Agwata local government of Anambra State, and you see one of the tallest buildings, in fact, the tallest building in the entire Southeast. It was built by one Dr. Maduka, who is resident in, I'm told, what's the name of this, in San Francisco. Is it San Francisco now, or I've forgotten the city that he lives in America. But I have been to that house. The tallest building is painted blue. It towers into the skies. Somewhere in Umuchukwu, formerly Nkerefi, in a I think it's Orumba, because the town is close to Owerri Zukala, where there is a cave in Anambra State. I remember first visiting the cave and then going to see the tall building that has become a tourist attraction for people visiting that area. And that's what it means to have a very strong diasporan influence in what is going on at home. Some of them are agents of civilization, agents of light, agents of enlightenment.
I mean, I like the way the analysis is going, but it looks like what we have seen has been more or less people sending money home on a personal basis to their family, friends, and the people they want to help. So, with all the potential that we see in the southeast of Nigeria, the argument is that, well, with good collaboration with the government of the southeast, the southeast diaspora community can actually be partners in progress in the development of southeast Nigeria. Because you've also referenced the kind of figures coming from abroad. It has surpassed the 8 that we receive as a country. So if that is anything to go by, imagine that a chunk of this wealth is harnessed in a way or in ways that can create holistic development. Not necessarily, I mean, everything done already perfect. But imagine that people now try to invest in things that create infrastructural revolution in southeast Nigeria. Anambra, Enugu, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi. Imagine that there is a real closing of rank that creates a situation where, all right, they decide, okay, we need to have a ring of railroads connecting the whole of the southeast. And you can't do that without billions of dollars. And the only set of people that can give you billions of dollars are Nigerians or Southeasterners in diaspora. So isn't this time to start having this conversation? And who should lead that conversation?
Wow. Thank you, Alex. I love the way you are thinking, because that to me is the future. And, I have also, pondered over this myself. We have the Igbo has such a huge diaspora now. And it doesn't seem as if those energies from the diaspora have been harnessed. And it is down to the fact that we lack what I think, or rather what I call inspirational leadership. My understanding of my Igbo heritage is that Igbo people do not really resist leadership. The only thing that the Igbo fights against is empty leadership. Like people who are only prepared for leadership, aspiring to provide that leadership. If you do not have anything that stands you out, you cannot lead the Igbo. If you are not adequately prepared, if you are not properly turned out as a human being, which means you have native wisdom going for you, you will also have the necessary academic qualifications, and I don't mean qualifications that do not reflect in the way you conduct yourself or the knowledge you dispense when you speak. If you don't have that going for you, if you don't have a record of being a good individual, a good human being, ndị Igbo si na ezi afa ka ego. Ọ bụ na ị nwere ezi afa, ọ bụ na afa gị adịrọ afa. If you are known for the wrong things, you can't lead the Igbo, no matter how much money you have. Somebody will stand up in the crowd and poke you in the eye and say, and you'll be demystified. But if you look back to the post-independent era, when we had the likes of the great Zik of Africa, with the likes of Chukwemeka Megujugu, and these were men, men who had distinguished themselves. They were very extraordinary. In terms of accomplishment, in terms of track record, in terms of ability, the capacity to communicate their goals and purposes, which is a very important requirement for leadership in Igbo land. You cannot lead in Igbo. And I see it among some of our political leaders. They want someone who can talk to them. When I was growing up, I remember I still met the remnants of the myth that was woven around Zik. Zik Aswa, which points to Zik's exceptional erudition. Ojukwu's own power of words is legendary. We know that. So these guys stood out. Now we have difficulties amongst the present crop of leaders. The ability to even articulate a vision and the capacity to convince people and win converts to see the future through your eyes is lacking amongst most of our leaders at the moment. And that's the difficulty that we have. And now also, I remember that in the July speech delivered by Odelu Waba at the Things Fall Apart Festival, she says something about the need for the Igbo to come together. There should be unity, that if we don't come together, we will not be able to amount to anything, either politically or developmentally. And I agree with her completely. So for us to be able to harness the energies in the diaspora, Igbo people must come together. Our leadership, the political leaders, must be able to have conversations and have a game plan. They must have a clear plan of what they want the diaspora community to assist them in doing. Let me tell you, if we come together, if we're able to achieve unity amongst ourselves, there is no development that the Igbo cannot undertake. After all, if people in the diaspora, let's say someone in America or even other parts of, if there is an agreement that Igbo should have a common development force where remittances, everybody remits, everybody in the diaspora remits just $1 every month. $1 to that force. Now, at the end of 5 years, that to my mind will amount to billions of naira. And with that kind of money, you can attempt audacious projects. But the problem is that we've not had this type of thinking. Even in the diaspora, there's not been a lot of cohesion. We should aim at forging ties, forming strong bonds between us. And it would be helpful if our political leaders at home can come up with this initiative. An initiative that will bring our people in the diaspora together. I would suggest, if not for the fact that the Southeast Governors Forum, I do not know, what really their basic considerations are, but they have not made any attempts to even recognize the wealth of knowledge and economic power that resides in the diaspora. Any day that they begin to look in that direction and they think about harnessing that energy or forming, creating a vehicle that would not only tap the resources abroad, but channel it to productive use at home, then our development challenges you realize we won't even have to wait for the federal government for anything. And that is why sometimes I feel happy that the Tinubu administration has given us the Southeast Development Commission. The Southeast Development Commission gives us a chance to now begin to attempt some of these audacious projects, and maybe the Southeast Development Commission can help to interface with the diaspora communities and see what can can be gained from that, because I think the Southeast Development Commission stands in a very good position to function as the immediate post-independent Michael Okwara administration that was able to catalyze development across the entire region and leave legacies that still stare us in the face to this day. I heard I think a week or so after I left for America, that the governor of Enugu State was commissioning Niger Gas, a plant that I am told was established by the legendary Michael Okwara when he was governor of the East Central State. So these are some of the things that I think we should do. The first thing is for us to build unity, come together as one at home. And I was quite happy. I don't know whether it was somewhat a reaction to Odeluwa's call for unity, but I was quite happy a few weeks ago when I learned that there was a movement in Asaba featuring Igbos from the heartland, and then Igbos in the riverine areas, especially people in the Delta. There was a sort of meeting amongst them where even people from far-flung locations as Ibanka came to not only identify with their kids and kin, but to drink from the fountain of our cultural heritage and re-emphasize and reinvent their self-belief and the concept of what it means to be Onyibo, because EJ meeting Omonna is part of it. So I was happy because Odeluwa had said, let us Igbo, that let us come together, forge ties, that we are supposed to act as one. Now, if our political leaders are to begin to see this same vision and do not allow their big egos to get in the way, Igbo Igbo, so to speak. It doesn't matter where you come from, whether you are from Eche in Rivers State or you are from Abogo in Anambra State. We are the same people. If we can forge such communal ties, then there is hope. Maybe hope for the future. Because I'm just shocked that we have not really carried ourselves as a people who are aware of their history. We are children of people who survived a genocide. But we still do not see the need to cohere, to plan together, and to shake off the past in a more profound way. As Nandi Igbo. But when it comes to a time when we should come together, that's we lose what the essence, the kernel of that adage that is supposed to guide us through the difficulties as we navigate our place in a complex and somewhat difficult terrain as Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that's what's missing, because after the Holocaust for the Jews, they didn't have any other choice but to come together to close ranks. It looks like that's what's missing for Igbo after the war. They haven't quite coerced. So, but we'll take a break. When we'll come back, we'll talk about how Igbo can get into the next gear of regional development. Stay with us.
All right.
You're welcome back to the EasternEye here on Afia TV, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. I still have James Nguweze joining me from New York tonight on the EasternEye. And we're discussing on how really the Igbo diaspora can get to the point where the resources, the likely available resources, can get into safe hands. We need to put it out there, Mr. James, that maybe the reason why nobody wants to come and put some money down is that they don't want to hear Akukon Benagu about their monies. Ndibo will understand what I'm saying. You don't want to hear that. So if you are putting your money down, it's something you've worked for, some for 10 years, some for 5, some for 20, some their whole lives. So, I mean, if they are putting down investments to help the homeland, what guarantees are they getting from government institutions? Because they are the only ones that can give concrete guarantees. If anybody's going to put money down, okay, I want to do rail, how do you recoup the investment, return on investment? Because as we know, rail transportation is profitable. You look around, Lagos has blue rail, red line, they are going to different colors. And the people that travel the most in the country are from the southeast. It's statistical. So there's no rail infrastructure in the southeast, but the governors are not perturbed. This is a problem because you need to move around. They don't seem to be perturbed. You just hear every governor saying that they will do rail, but we know that it won't be possible for a governor to finish that rail project within his tenure. But if they all close ranks, it will be done in record time. Why are the governors not closing ranks in Southeast Nigeria? And I'm repeating this for the umpteenth time on this program. The Southeast Governors Forum haven't met this year. Somebody should pinch me and tell me the date they met this year.
Alex, you're asking pertinent questions. Remember earlier I talked about, the need for the political leaders to set their egos aside. Now, it is really not strange to me that the governors are not having the conversations that we all pray that they do. I know that we are a fiercely competitive people. Ndị Igbo are fiercely competitive. So I think that the governors, my suspicion is that they are all digging in, and everyone is trying to they're trying to outwit each other with the activities in their respective states, and everybody, it's a contest.
Everybody wants to be number one. Everybody wants to be number one.
Everybody wants to be number one, Alex, and that has led to a situation where it is even difficult for them to come together as one, And the truth is that out here in the diaspora, there are some, whatever they do, whatever happens at home, sometimes they hear it before most people, They hear what's going on. They know which governor is performing and which governor is not performing. So it becomes very difficult. But I would have expected that our political leaders, especially the governors, are enlightened enough to know that if we come together, the impact of their efforts to develop the region, will be stronger. It will be more felt. Now, Enugu has become an oasis of excellence. Even in the diaspora here, people are excited about what the government is doing. Abia State has become another oasis of excellence. People are happy. Everyone is happy with what Alex Oti is doing. But the impact will be more. And let me tell you, no matter how well Enugu and Abia performs, if other Southeast states are lagging behind, it will amount to nothing. I'll give you an instance. When I worked with the former governor of Anambra State, he was so clinical in his security decisions, and the security architect that implemented in the state, that armed robbers fled from Anambra State. I witnessed it. I was there when the first security summit took place. Obiano brought a security expert known as Moshe Koinen from Israel to a security summit. After the security summit, a security architect was developed that helped Anambra contend with crime and criminality under that dispensation. But the surrounding states were not moving at the same pace. So what happened, Alex, is that armed robbers that were chased out of Anambra State, criminals, kidnappers that were chased out of Anambra State, took shelter in the neighboring states. They took shelter in the neighboring states. So if you felt safe in Anambra, you couldn't actually feel safe in the neighboring states. In the end, you find out that the effect was rather inconclusive. And I must also commend Obiano, not necessarily because I worked with him, but because of the fact that it was far-sighted enough to call for a regional security conference and then sought a regional response to the security challenge in the Southeast region. I also witnessed the governor of Abia State, the governor of Enugu State, the governor of Ebonyi State, the governor of Imo State did not come, but he sent his deputy governor, and the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa. They all gathered at Amobia Governor's Lodge in Awka to talk about, how to provide security for these states. These states are contiguous. Now, if you tell me that, to my mind, if you ask me, I would tell you that, to my mind, is also the best way to approach development in the region. I mean, there are things, it doesn't stop each state from developing at its own pace, but there could be, facilities they could own together. Like you rightly mentioned, the rail transport system. They could strive, and because we are a very itinerant people, we move a lot. We are a people who have wanderlust in our blood. The Igbo man must travel. So if we cannot even move smoothly within our region, you can see that our full potentials are not realized. If I were a trader in Enugu and I traveled to Aba to get stock for my business, I traveled to Onitsha to get stock for my business. If there were to be a railway line connecting Enugu to Aba, for instance, would it not make my business easier? Because when you think about the railway system, in fact, I boarded one yesterday, and I saw how I actually enjoyed it. Alex, maybe I haven't shared that video of myself in the subway in Manhattan, heading to Brooklyn. But I recorded it because I just looked at it. Sometimes when I see how things are made easy here, I paid just about $3 to move, to move from one point to the other, one end of New York to the other, so to speak, one borough of New York to another borough. But I didn't feel any pain when I was moving. So if you had such things developed, it will make life easier for our people. People can now move volumes of goods they have bought from one part to the other. And if you have if you develop a good network and it is linked to the national, railway line, and then you are able to actually move things that are manufactured in Nnewi, in Onitsha, and in Aba to Lagos, to Kano, to Kaduna, to Ibadan, to other places, the region will boom, inevitably. So I think that our leaders, especially the governors, because the governors, it is actually their call. They can either come together and come up with a vision, or they'll let it be. At least at the moment, we have about 3 or 4 of them whose terms are running almost concurrently. The Anambra governor will be going into his second term, hopefully for his followers and people who wish him well. He'll probably be re-elected and will have 4 years. Enugu and Abia and Ebonyi are starting on the same block. They're on the same block. It's only Imo that is a little bit ahead. But development of, a development plan of that nature should be, a rolling plan, a plan that, you envision and give it a long gestation period, say 20 years. Don't ask me about the Vision 2020, which took place at the national level. And then when you look around, you don't see the impact of that vision. But Alex, I am more particular about the Southeast doing something for once that will justify the belief by our neighbors that we are a smart people. You can't say you are brilliant, you dazzle the world, but the homeland looks pathetic. So is your success akin to a tree with roots in the sky? If they say we are a great people, why do we lack a great vision? Eh? Why can't we come together and do something great? Show example. We have the capacity to do it. It is the leadership that we lack at the moment. But even that leadership is something we can easily overcome. The only problem is that we're not having conversations. Ohaneze and Igbo, great as it is, I do not think that conversation belongs to Ohaneze. Ohaneze is playing its own role. We need something a little more focused, more intense, more vibrant, and then people who also have some lever, some economic lever, like the governors. I'm hopeful that probably, as the Southeast Development Commission begins to really settle down for business, that something a bit more pragmatic will be done about development in the region. Because it is a shame to actually recall that what has become impossible for us to do is something that M.I. Okpara did within 6 years or less as governor of not just the entire Southeast, but the South-South. He left imprints all over the place, left legacies. He left legacies that have continued to endure. Why is it difficult now for we who are the inheritors of that spark of excellence to now begin to shine? I don't see. It's a puzzle to me.
You know what, James Ngweze, it looks like we will have an encore because we have talked down the clock trying to unravel pathways to the development of Southeast Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the EasternEye.
Thank you, Alex.
And may the land of New York be very kind to you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, then. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's the EasternEye for tonight. We'll be back here on Monday for fresh episodes of the program. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.